Sorry.
Beautiful background too.
Thank you.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. Really great to have you here. If you were part of the first discussion last week, then welcome back. And if you were not there, then welcome. So today we will be speaking about innovation from the perspective of people and culture. And before I launch into the webinar today, I looked up a few stats and I saw that companies that are more innovative, they improve productivity, they reduce costs, they increase competitiveness, they improve their brand image, and they can better attract, engage, and retain employees. So if all of that sounds great and you're excited to turn your company into an innovative company, then hopefully today will be a very fruitful discussion. But first and foremost, I want to thank our partner AIA Vietnam. AIA Vietnam is a purpose-led organization that is going on the journey of a big digital transformation, and it's becoming a place where digitally minded people, passionate self-starters are coming together to build a great career. And so we've been partnering with AIA Vietnam to do this series of webinars that's all about innovation in the workplace. And today we have the big fortune to be joined by some of the leading voices when it comes to people and culture in Vietnam, which is very exciting. You can probably already see them on the screen. And the reason why we're doing all of this and why we get up every day from the Dreamplex side is that we know that for many companies, it's really difficult to find the best talent, to recruit them, and then to also engage and retain them. And so we're partnering with large companies like Tiki, who are on the call today, like Topica, like PR Newswire, to support them in delivering that great workplace. And you know, we call that more than just an office, really a better day at work. And since I'm here anyway, and I have the opportunity to speak to all of you, I have to just quickly highlight two great new locations that we're building this year. The first one that should be launching in about October is called the Office, which is the opposite of everything a traditional office stands for, in beautiful Tao Dien in District 2, which we're designing with the lab, who also designed the AIA head office. So you know it's going to be an innovative place to come to work. And then the second project that we're working on and launching also in November is the campus in District 7, right over the bridge from District 1, where we're building a 6,800 square meter huge shared campus for some of the most innovative companies in Vietnam. So that's some of the stuff that we're working on. But again, we're not here today to talk about offices. We're not here to talk about campuses. We're here to talk about people and culture. So let's talk about the people that are on the webinar today. And I'm going to start, which is very conveniently also the person on the top left of the screen, with An. So Zhang Nguyen is the Associate Director. An, maybe you can wave. So An is the Associate Director for Organizational Development and Talent Management at AIA Vietnam. And her biography is so long that we had to summarize a little bit because she has so many relevant and exciting experiences already on her belt. Over 15 years in both end market and senior HR roles, many different industries, from FMCG to pharmaceuticals to medical devices, advertising, hospitality, and now, of course, financial services. But that's not all. So if you think that's impressive, An is also an independent trainer and facilitator for the FACE Institute of Management and Leadership. And she's doing organizational development and HR business partnering for some private organizations in Vietnam. And her main goal, her main drive in life is to create meaningful careers and attract, engage, and retain the best people in Vietnam and APEC. So thank you, An, for joining us today. Very nice to have you on the call. Great to have you here. And then, yeah, definitely before we go here, wanted to introduce the second speaker, who also has an equally long and very impressive biography, which is Tran. Cris is the CEO of FAM Central and is the one waving on the camera right now. Also the only guy amongst the panelists. Wow, how is that for diversity, huh? Cris recently founded Fem Central, which is a blockchain platform that enhances the interaction between fanvestors. Oh, we have to ask him about that. Fanvestors with movie artists and music projects. He's also an experienced strategist, which I know, corporate team player and startup enthusiast with a passion for building businesses and challenging the status quo. Very important for today's discussion. If you haven't heard of Fem, you must have heard of Infinity Blockchain Ventures that Cris was the former CEO for, which was a blockchain consulting and development firm operating in 10 different countries. And before that, he was the country head for Frost & Sullivan, a global management consulting firm based out of Singapore and specialized in digital transformation. He also participated in the IPO launch of SEA, which had a value of 884 million at the New York Stock Exchange. So if that wasn't enough to tell you, this is a very impressive guy. We're very lucky to have him here on the webinar. Cris, say a quick hello.
Hello.
Hello. Oh yeah, and I just saw before we started the presentation, he has a very deep voice, almost like a beautiful radio voice. Speaking of beautiful voices and important voices in this market, going to Sakshi Jawa from Tiki, Chief People Officer at Tiki. Sakshi has an MBA degree in HR with 15 years of experience in HR across Asia and particular experience and expertise in the e-commerce domain for both well-established e-commerce companies as well as startups. And I've heard some of her stories and it's very, very impressive. She's lived and worked in many countries. Before she joined Tiki, for example, she was the HR director at Coupang, which is the leading e-commerce company in South Korea. And she worked at Amazon with different roles, both in India and Singapore, leading HR business partnering for sales, marketing, and infrastructure teams. Yes, you heard it right. Coupang, leading e-commerce company in South Korea, and Amazon, wealth of experience and expertise here on this webinar today. She also has 2 years working of experience working as the CMB head for Prudential. Are we allowed to say the word Prudential on this webinar? Anywho, I already said it, too late. 2 years of experience working for Prudential from 2010 to 2012 after spending first few years of her HR career in the global decision management division of Citibank, which I think we're okay to say on this webinar. Amazing. Welcome, Sakshi, to this webinar. And then from outer space, out of this world, last but definitely not least, we have Minh Zhang, because she's from Hanoi, I think. Minh Zhang Nguyen, the partner of talent and culture at Mekong Capital. You see, she's really out of this world. You can see her background is she's in space somewhere. Where are you? Minh Zhang, where are you dialing in from? Where are you located?
Somewhere on Earth.
Somewhere on Earth.
No,
okay.
just kidding. That's Mekong Capital Office.
Ah, okay. So this is what an innovative office looks like. You're basically sitting in space. So for those few people who don't know Minh Zhang yet, the best way to describe her, as she describes herself, is that Minh Zhang has relentlessly transformed and expanded herself, her experience, and her leadership by continually generating new initiatives to add value to the Mekong Capital team and the companies in their portfolio. Under her leadership, the talent and culture team, very relevant to today's topic, is at the core for cultivating the best employee experience from recruiting, training, and developing to team building activities and building company culture, which resulted in Mekong Capital being voted as one of the best places to work in Asia in 2019. So huge welcome, Minh Zhang, to the panel today. You want to say hello from outer space?
Thank you so much. Hello, hello, everyone. This is my pleasure. Thank you. Hello, my friend Sakshi and
hello.
Yeah, I know it's all old friends catching up, as we found out in the pre-discussion. So, guys, we have 4 amazing people on this panel. We're hoping to extract a lot of very tangible value and practical advice. But before we kick in with the questions, I actually have a question for you in the audience, and I'm going to launch it now. Because the first question we're going to be asking our panelists is the following. Can companies become innovative, or are they born that way? So can companies become innovative, or do companies kind of have to be innovative in their DNA from the core. And the reason that we're asking that is that, you know, sometimes there is maybe this idea that, you know, oh, in my company, like I cannot do innovation, like I don't know how to do it. It's just not my culture. It's not my company. So what do you guys think here in the audience? Can companies become innovative, or are they born that way? So I'll leave the question on the screen for another 20 seconds or so. I see 53% has voted already. That's very good. And then I'll share it with the audience here too, for our panelists to discuss. So are companies innovative by nature? Does company kind of innovation have to be in the DNA, or is it something that companies can become? And the last votes are coming in. I'm going to end the poll right now. And here we have the results. 98% of you say that companies can become innovative. Well, that is fantastic news. Otherwise, it would have been a very difficult conversation today if you either are innovative or you're not. Okay, so now I'm going to throw it to the panel. So the panel, you see that the audience here has voted that companies totally can become innovative. What is your perspective? And I want to start with Miss Outer Space, Miss Minh Giang. What is your perspective when you're talking to, maybe for Mekong Capital itself, but also for your portfolio companies? When you're talking to people, do they feel that hesitation that, hey, I cannot become innovative? Or do people already understand that actually any company can become innovative? What's your perspective?
Thank you, Dan, for asking that question. So just start with the definition of being innovative. I think that like each of us here has our own definition about the being innovative or innovation. So at Mekong Capital, I think that like we define innovation is very simple. It's just a new ways, a new method, new products, or even new ideas. And we make it very simple and relatable in the way that it's really, it doesn't mean that when you mention being innovative, you need to refer something really big. No, it can start with like what we have done so far and ask the question that what we can do better. Like what I'm doing now. So we constantly being innovative. For me, like being innovative to ensure that the first day of the new team member, they can experience the wow and the connectedness. Yeah, so it's very small that in people world about the being innovative or innovation, but for me, that is the more about mindset. And we constantly being discover, exploring something new, what we can do better. And that is, I think that is what we call being innovative. And it happened at Mekong Capital and happened at our investing company that, okay, guys, so what happened if we don't change? Or what happened if we continue doing the way that we have done so far?
Okay, yeah. So Minh Giang, you're saying basically for Mekong Capital, the way that you would define innovation is it doesn't always have to be something big, right? It can just be a new way, a new method or a new idea. And sometimes that can be in those like really small things, like when you're thinking from an employee perspective, maybe just the fact that their first day is very wow is already innovative in a way. And that means when innovative doesn't have to be super big, that any company can do it, right? Any company can take an onboarding procedure and just think again, as Adam Grant would say in his new book, think again, and do it in a new way. So maybe on then to ask the question to you, you know, you are working in a company that is on a big digital and innovation transformation journey. So AIA has said that, hey, even though we are an insurance company, we don't have to do, and we're a very old company because I think AIA is over 100 years old, we don't have to do it the old way. So clearly you have found a way to be innovative. So maybe share your perspective of how you got into that journey and how can other companies take inspiration from that?
All right. To follow up with Giang, if Giang gonna say that innovative, it should become from the small to big thing, or from piece to piece, from piece to piece, to make something like big wow. From AIA perspective, and for myself to work with the innovative or very innovative office here, to me, innovative it should be cultivate, because the company don't just have work with what they have, but in terms of the employees, that how can we build the workplace into to become an innovative powerhouse. That I mean, innovative is less than about IQ score, right? But it's more that the employee willing to question and explore. And AIA, we encourage employee to willing to go outside in the from their comfort zone, and as well as they look at into the problem throughout different angles. That what we try to make
Mm,
AI to be more innovative. So the innovative for the perspective of the AI, it means from your mindset, how you
mindset.
look at, how can you look at into the issue, but you
Mm,
think for a different way to solve the problem, and as well as how can you think in the different lens. It's not only one lens, but in the customer lens, in the employee lens, in the manager lens, not even from the leader lens, and you can put it and you make something, and you're willing to make it different. And that's what
I love it.
I say.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So it is a mindset, not just something you do. It's a mindset that you have, and it's something you have to cultivate. So Sakshi, you work in, I guess, what many people would perceive to be a very innovative company, right? As Tiki obviously invented almost like an entire category in Vietnam. What does innovation mean to Tiki?
So, innovation to Tiki is, first of all, for us, we everybody talks these days about OKRs and KPIs, and we design them in the beginning of the year, and we are supposed to follow that. Well, the thing is that if you just follow what is given to you, innovation is not going to happen. So, which is because you're deciding what you're going to do in the next 12 months already. So how are you going to have that innovation mindset? So we make sure that, it's an ongoing process where we are building on. OKRs are not carved in stone. We will, as we grow, as we learn, we will continue to change them. That's number one. Number two, which is very important, just not from a Tiki perspective, but from a lot of organizations' perspective, you will see in a lot of organizations, they have core values or leadership principles, which say innovation is one of our leadership principles. Well, yes, that makes a lot of sense. But what companies forget is that there is another core value, which is very important for employees to innovate, is fail fast. Not all innovation will be successful. If you don't give employees a platform to fail and then get up and start doing it again, employees will always be scared. They will always think that if they innovate more, they will be punished if the innovation is not successful. To give them that platform, you have, as leaders, we have to come out and say that we are okay with failing. We are okay if you make mistakes. We are not okay if you fail second time in the same thing, but we are definitely okay if you experiment, innovate, fail, and just move on. Just don't cling to it. So we promote these things a lot in Tiki in terms of saying, yes, we have OKRs, but we are going to be a little bit more flexible in how we are moving around, and we will let you fail. We will let you, own failures, but fail fast. Don't keep harping on it. The third very important thing, which I particularly do for my team, is when we design OKRs, I make sure to tell them that there is something which is not there in this sheet. And at the end of the year, I want you to fill something which is like was not there, and you did something which was very, very different from what you've been doing as your job. It makes people very uncomfortable, but that's one thing which keeps on helping them to think from their day-to-day job, get out and start thinking about it. And as Minh said, it could be very small things. It could be a very small thing for, say, a payroll person trying to do something in recruitment, right? It could be very small, but for that person, it's innovation. And that's like thinking out of the box. So we promote that kind of a culture.
So I have a really big, I thought that was so powerful, that idea of, you cannot have innovation without the acceptance of failure. Yes. So I have a big question then for Cris. sorry, Cris, because now you're, at following these three powerful ladies with their great insights. Now I have a big question for you, which is, failure doesn't really seem to be as okay in this culture compared to maybe other markets, right? I hear there's a lot in Asia. There is sort of like kind of a hesitance for people to fail. They kind of actually want to follow kind of the rule. They want to follow, what's expected of them. How can we create that culture in which failure is okay? I know I'm putting you totally on the spot, but I'm just curious and I want to hear from you.
No, I think actually that's even before your question. I think that's something that I want to circle back to Sakshi, because that's a very good thing to hear, because, and I want to share that as well. Not all, go back to Dan's questions, not all companies in Vietnam will have that luxury and privilege, like the way Tiki is thinking about innovations, and you can fail fast, and you are allowed to be fail, for example, because at least just from my network of clients, and at least some of the company that I know, it's a chicken and egg kind of things. Everyone loves innovations, but at the end of the day, you have a P&L to answer to your board. You have these kind of things to explain and everything. Not everyone have the support from the board and the vision that you can be fail maybe 1-2 times, but it's a great thing that can a lot of the local company here in Vietnam can learn from that. But I can be very honest and cold fact that I think Giang and AIA will have some sort of that as well.
Yes. I want to chime in.
Because
Vietnam,
AIA,
Vietnam allow.
they went through a innovation process 5 years ago, and they're here again talking about the same thing again. So I think let's Miss Anne to share a little bit on that. But I think a lot of the company understand that innovation doesn't come right away. And I think when Dan first invite me for this section, I just want to share that on top of everything that everyone shared just now, for me, innovation is a journey. It's not it's not just a DNA that you have in your your mindset, your brain, but you may be born without it, or you can be born with it, but it's a journey to nurture and grow and make it something really become a core capability of yourself and your organization. And it's take everyone effort from top to middle to junior staff to understand everything on the same page before you can make it happen. I think Tiki is very lucky, and I think they run on a startup mindset, so that's why you can fail, but in some big enterprise in Vietnam right now, I think it's a very luxury thing to have. A lot of people may have to pay the price for their position, or their employment contract with that entire company, just purely on that innovation.
Yeah, that's very tough. That's very tough. And actually, one of the questions that was submitted before the webinar from Tran Nguyen, who is and here comes a really exciting job title: Learning and Development and People Happiness at Timo Digital Bank. So Tran was asking, how do we even start to create a mindset of innovation for all employees? Maybe Minh, Zhang, you want to take this one. So if the companies want to go, so we've learned that innovation is not one big thing that you do. It's something that you go on this long journey and you have to nurture it. But where do you start? How do you start to build a mindset of innovation?
Okay, so I'm talking from Mekong Capital experience in our investing company. So being innovative, being like a agile, being like a how can I say that? Try fast, fail fast, learn fast, everything. It's all how. It's all a how. And so like from Mekong Capital side, so we always start with the committed breakthrough results. So the committed breakthrough result here, so because he asked about the culture, it means that this is the organizational DNA. So it starts from the committed breakthrough result of that organization. And it should start from the CEO, the founder, and leadership team, so what they are committed to. And like to fulfill or to realize that commitment. For example, like one of our company is FATA. So 5 years ago, so they declared that they will change the definition of pawn shop in Vietnam. So that is a really huge and really breakthrough result, because no one in Vietnam have done so far and have been successful in this. And to fulfill that committed results, so at the organizational level, they will sit down together and define the core values. How? The core value and the behavior. Specific here is the behavior. Okay, so being innovative, but what is look like in action? Because maybe that like in the CEO and the founder also, that is being innovative, but for the employee, they don't know, okay, what is look like? What's the action? What's the behavior? So
yeah, so can I quickly recap? So because I heard a term there that sounds really, really exciting. Committed breakthrough results.
Yes.
So you don't talk about an objective, you talk about a committed breakthrough result, which already makes me feel like we're thinking much bigger than just complete a campaign or some, grow 5% market share. What is a committed breakthrough result? And then you're saying that then translates to core values, that core values then translate to behavior, and that's how you create a mindset. But let's take 2 steps back and maybe explain a bit, what is a committed breakthrough result? I know Mekong loves to invent new words and phrases. It sounds like one of those. So share with the non-Mekong world here.
Okay, so I'm so sorry for making for causing the confusion about the Mekong capital language.
No, we love confusion. It's an innovation discussion. Let's get confused.
But that's the right word, but the right word to think about the innovative need to break through.
So we define committed breakthrough result here. First is the result here is can be the vision, can be the higher purpose. And the breakthrough is that the result that you have never done before. The breakthrough is totally new. Because it's new, so it's required to achieve something new. It's required the different or like the different being, the different core value, different action. So and committed here is that authentically committed. Because the thing here is that because his question was how we can we build up the innovation or being innovative in the culture. So the bad news here is that you cannot force or impose or request anyone else to be innovative. No. Until that he or she see or experience that, okay, if he or she doing this way or being this way, they can achieve something new, something breakthrough result. And for me, that is our investment philosophy, and also this is the way that we translate the vision, the mission to the core value, to the behavior. It's all applied to the core value, any being, including being innovative.
What a fantastic sort of concept too. I think sometimes language can be so powerful. And to have a term like that to start, instead of saying, oh, here's the goal or objective, but we are committed to this breakthrough result, and then everything flows from there. It's really, really nice. So
just a funny thing, just a really funny thing.
Go ahead.
Before attending this meeting, or the leadership team, we just changed the new core values. So the thing is, we innovated we constantly exploring something new.
Do that? How often you change your core value?
I wonder as well. The culture, but we change. So how come?
So we change the core values when we see that we need to be differently or do differently to fulfill the vision, to fulfill the committed breakthrough result. We don't wait, or we don't have a certain period that we need to change. No. Every time, very quickly, every time that we see that, our team member, they need to be differently or need to define the new behavior, change it.
Wow,
and quickly leadership.
A whole new kind of meaning to the word agile. And actually there's something really interesting that we got a question submitted from Sarah Chan from Grasshopper. who has a question. I think, oh, it's specifically to Sakshi. You know, you were just talking about, you know, if we're always changing, right? Which means that at the beginning of the year, you know, we may not even set an OKR that is still valid at the end of the year. How many percent, so what percentage of your people can then actually achieve that? And what do you do with the people that cannot add anything new outside of the OKR list? So that sounds like a really interesting concept, but how does it work in practice?
Okay. So you know, as somebody mentioned that innovation is actually a journey. Innovation is not something which you can just define and say you need to innovate. So there are people who are, so this kind of a framework is more for people's personal development as well. It is just not based on we want to innovate as an organization, so we want some returns from that. It is also from a perspective of think bigger, think more than what your job every day you come to do, think more of that. So I don't penalize people if they don't have anything innovative at the end of the year. But I would definitely want to reward people who have that innovation at the end of the year, because that means that they can actually do a lot more. People who could not do that in the beginning of the year need a little bit more push. I believe every person is innovative if you give them the right platform. Now, whether any company or any culture can give them the right platform depends from culture to culture. Talking about core values, I differ slightly from Giang saying that when we are building core values, they should at least last us for the next 5 to 10 years, because when we build core values, we think about core values are going to scale us to that level, and core values are built assuming that we are going to grow to a 10x. So if innovation is a part of your core values, if innovation is a part of your culture, when you're recruiting people, when you're doing performance management, these are the things you need to emphasize every time you do it. For example, in Tiki or in any other companies where I have built the hiring framework, the hiring frameworks are based on core values of the company. Now, whether you're interviewing people for tech or for non-tech, if innovation is a core value, you can always have questions around innovation, and people in tech backgrounds will give answers according to tech, people in non-tech backgrounds will give answers according to non-tech, and you will still understand what they're talking about, right? And then also we go back to the question of fail fast. Yes, I attach that to innovation. The reason being, for example, I would always ask people, tell me the biggest blunder you made in your careers, right? And I belong to the Asian context as well. I'm also from Asia. We've been taught in school saying, always talk about good things about yourself, never talk about like what you could not do, right? So it is difficult for me also, or used to be difficult for me to come and say, I could not do this. But I do ask that question when I'm talking about innovation, because if you don't realize that you can make mistakes, you will never be able to innovate, right?
So good. And can I just ask, like, because there's a related question from Sarah that I think you just mentioned, rewards, that I want to ask you, and then I want to throw it over to An, because we want to hear some of her insights too. But Sarah asked, you know, you talked about rewarding people, right? What are some ways to reward innovative people? And she says, no matter whether it's good innovation or bad innovation. I love that sentiment, right? Because if we are encouraging to fail fast, then, you know, innovation is innovation. And she says for them, for example, they give extra annual leave, maybe they give bonus or a pay raise. Is there anything else you can do to reward those innovative people?
So for me, it's much simpler. For me, people who are innovative means that the people will be able to understand way beyond their job. So for them, the rewards is basically giving them more exposure to senior leadership, putting them in front of the CEO more, putting them on projects which are more creative, which are good to have, may not be important to have for us at that point of time, but they are projects which would really help us grow to this next level. For example, we just revamped the Tiki benefit system. It was not required. It was something good to do because it's COVID. We need to we need to be, focusing on people's health, mental wellness. And it was a good opportunity to say that, okay, we have a lot of young population. So what we can do in terms of focusing on their health as well as their maternity, paternity benefits as well. It was not something which was the need of the hour, but it was good to have. So I got all the creative and innovative people together and say, let's do something. So for them, it was basically something beyond their jobs and they really enjoyed it. So the result is, it's not always monetary. They went and they could present it in front of the CEO and the leadership team, answer the questions, answer the challenges, answer questions that come out financially, build models. So that itself for them was like a reward.
I'm sure people are like cheering behind their computers right now. Oh, it's not about money. It's just about exposure. That's free. That's great.
I guess money comes with it, Dan, right? The more you do it, the more successful you become and the more successful you grow faster. So it is up to the organizations also to realize how to grow these people as well. Just not in terms of, just not in terms of growth in terms of projects, but also in terms of monetary growth as well as professional growth. I do not believe in age group saying if you are certain level of experience with this age, you should be this level. So we have gone beyond that, saying that a 5-year experience can also become like a VP, right? So it is all dependent on how you're innovating and what new ideas you're getting. I have given double and triple promotions as well in cycle because I just believe some people are so good. We don't have to follow.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And I think that, I mean, first of all, completely agree that, you know, this is not about age, right? Like you can have people that are really young and like overperform, and you can have old people like me that are really not all that great. And it really shouldn't be based on that. And I think your whole link between innovation and personal development is so great, because I do think that, and I totally agree with you that, you know, when you're innovating, you're learning, right? Because you're doing something new, you're thinking about something new, you're thinking outside of your main role. And that's all growth and development. And what we've seen time and time again from our research about Gen Z and millennials in Vietnam, that it's all about personal development, it's all about growth. So now throwing it back to An, one question that also came in was actually from one of your colleagues from Ngọc An, from the capability team, capability building team in AIA Vietnam. And she asked, okay, let's say that you've launched some innovation initiatives. How can we then maintain innovation? How can we maintain innovation?
All right. I'm very happy to get the question from, you know, from inside out, from Vietnam, from AIA Vietnam. They want to trigger my thinking, and they will trigger that what AI already done. However, for the questions, I really want to focus to 4 things: that how can we, like, you know, maintain or make the innovation sustainable at AIA. Firstly, to reflect with myself and reflect with, like, you know, what AIA have done so far and how we're successful. That firstly, that the sense of clear of direction. Because I found that if we want to encourage employees to make innovative, they need to make clear about what is the direction, what is the final goal, what is, like, you know, the strategy company or the mission of the company to make innovative on that things. Because if we provide for employee for many things and not clear about the direction or not clear about mission, how can we manage, and how employee can, like, you know, nurture and, like, you know, flourish in their innovative. Therefore, the first thing must be sense of direction. Therefore, board at AIA and from the top down LT, they need to clear and articulate the message to allow employee innovative and become, and innovative should become, like, you know, the key behavior at AIA. That's the first thing. The second thing, that how to maintain and make innovative sustainable, that must be open communication. To me, myself, and also for LT, that open communication is quite important. And that's a reason why when we apply a agile model in AIA, we try to encourage employee, like, you know, two-way communication. This is not only for LT, but for the senior people. Let I share with you the practices AIA. We try to make LT open the door every single day to ensure that employee, they can come up to the room and let's say, can I talk to you? We also have created a lot of sessions related to the communication that ask me everything, and LT, they on the board and they can answer every single question, and with commitment to answer every single thing of the employee concern. And for, like, you know, for funny and for something, like, you know, very down to earth with employee, we have the, you know, the change management workshop. We have the dialogue with HR, because HR is very the key important to for them to ensure that to gain the trust with employee, and as well as, like, you know, to get the employee in the same approach and, like, make them more confident. so open communication throughout the dialogue, and as well as the lunch from CEO with the new member, or rewards for employee. They have, like, they have the idea, they have a chance to catch up with LT and also the CEO. That the second thing. The third thing, that if we want to maintain the business, we need to ensure that we reduce hierarchy. By means, we need to simplify organization. That reduce hierarchy or simplify organization to make the span of control to less than of, like, the layer, to make employee to collaboration, and they can easy to make the work more similar and more faster. If you take time to form many layers to work with many people, how can you encourage people innovative or creativity? Therefore, reduce the hierarchy by simplify organization, just simple make the process shorten, and encourage them to innovative through, like, break through the process, and also the barrier of the large organization will make them, like, make the process lower and make the productivity, like, less productivity. That I pick up with the top three.
So on three key ways to sustain innovation, and there was a word you just mentioned, which I think is very relevant to this discussion, which is trust.
Yes, trust.
And then you also mentioned less hierarchy. And
yes.
There's actually an audience question that was submitted. Let me just read it right here. We're talking about failing fast, right? We're talking about people stepping outside of their jobs. We're talking about people taking initiatives. How to ensure that our business leaders are open and they will not penalize our employees when they could come forward with admitting their feedbacks, or maybe coming to share that they could not deliver. Cris, maybe do you have any point of view? You're consulting companies about innovation. How can we make sure that you actually have that culture where people feel comfortable kind of like thinking outside of the box, thinking outside of the job, and maybe admitting their failures or admitting their mistakes?
I think everything that Anne mentioned about all of the elements about to have sustained innovation culture at a workplace are completely perfect. Completely agree with all of that. But I guess we should go back to kind of one-on-one how innovation can start in the first place. I think hierarchy is there, culture is there, but the acceptance and the awareness of people about innovations are very important as well. Basically, put in a simple terms that like Giang also mentioned as well, do we know what kind of technology we're talking about, what kind of transformation we're talking about, and everything? Am I equipped with the right knowledge or the right understanding to take this forward? Or because without all of that, you may your employee can just go up to the front and suggest according to them, right? Something sounds very stupidity, for example, right? So you don't want to put your employee in that spotlight. So I think one thing that all organizations can start looking at is encourage the culture, right? I think we talk about that a lot, but putting your team in the right position to take that chance as well, meaning that have you provide the right knowledge to them yet? Do you have a proper training for them yet? Do you prepare for their transition from one place to another place? Because innovation, it's all about transition from one place to another place. And between all of that, it's acceptance, it's skill set, it's recognition from the board, all the things I think you guys mentioned about it. But so for me, to allow your team to accept the challenge, accept the failure, and go on to this journey, it has to be putting them in the right and suitable position to make all of that happen. Either it's through training or pep talk or reward or anything, put them in the right position or a comfortable position, I would say. Try that first before you actually approach a more hostile way of approach. For example, I think Dan.
Okay, no, definitely no hostile way, right? We have to
hostile in a way that
we talk about innovation.
For example, right? You bringing in a strategic partner where they can provide an innovative angle, how to streamline insurance product or insurance process from the agent point of view, for example. it's make the internal people feel like, you know, if those guys from the outside of AIA or Tiki or Mekong Capital, they can do this, right? So why didn't we have a chance to actually to do all of this? Because we have been here longer, we have been in this industry for more number of years and everything. So you need different way of trigger. I love that word trigger, the mindset from before. You have many ways to trigger their mindset and acceptance. So yeah, maybe not hostile, but
many
trigger.
fronts. Yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to kind of like, it needs to kind of start, and then it needs to be sparked throughout. It needs to kind of like have that re-trigger. And one of the other questions that came in from our audience is from Cham An Chan, who is the human resource assistant at Cargo 365. Sakshi, get ready for this one. She says, I suppose that innovation comes from ownership. That's actually quite a good idea. What can the HR team and the management team do to cultivate ownership in our teams, the sense of ownership? And, you know, Minh Giang was talking about committed breakthrough ideas, you know, something that everyone can rally behind. But how do you even create that sense of ownership, Sakshi, within the team?
Let I explain more about the ownership before Shashi, because I very buy in with Cris that before that organization, they want to be like, you know, trigger employees or make the innovative become more like, you know, become more DNA. I do think that we need to raise awareness of employees of what is innovative in you, and as well as the ownership, that what Shashi will share more is very important. But for the AIA view, we also raise the ownership in the first behavior on the changing and how the innovative. Because if the ownership will lead to many things successful, that not only the innovative, but if the people, they own the ownership from their genes, they will make something more beautiful. And of course, AIA, we have the tactic, because we have already brought the skill of ownership for employees, and we have the six keys work for employee to how to enhance the ownership throughout from life to work, and how you can innovative and how to commitment to make the thing happen through these keywords. I will share later on after she share about the ownership in her lens.
That sounds very interesting. Can I apply for that as well, even though I don't work for AIA?
I will share because that make a maximize employees. They apply and they say, oh, even that ownership that I want to take only 2 liters of water a day. How can I take the ownership of that? That is the insight from employee, and they can apply from, you know, from life to work. I will share later on, make a curious and trigger for the audience.
Okay, so I have a very different approach to the ownership part. I may say something which a lot of you may not agree with, but that's what I think. Not every employee in an organization is expected to innovate. If everybody starts to innovate, who will do the work? Who is just going to focus and do the work? So for me, innovation is not expected from each and every employee. Some people may disagree with that, but I believe that as employers, it is our responsibility to get that sense of ownership out in the employees, but not everybody may have them. So how do you see that, you know, some employees look at it as a part of their goals to be owning it up, is by, first of all, walking the talk. I think it is very important for leaders themselves to show how they're innovating. A lot of times we actually forget that we are actually innovating every day, and we just think that this is probably the job which we are doing. So it is very important to go and specify to the employees that we are doing new things, we are innovating. Second, all organizations talk about innovation, we want to innovate. How much time do we give to the employees to say, here is your 4 hours today in a day, go build something on your own? Tech may do it, like I know some companies may run hackathons, which also most of the companies don't, by the way. But how much time are you going to telling them, leave your job, just go build something out of the box, and, you know, we are just going to listen to you and see what comes out? Not many companies are doing it. So if you actually say you want innovation, you first have to create an atmosphere where employees have time to innovate. A lot of times I have questions which come up and they ask me, I need to finish my job. So do you expect me to finish my job, or do you expect me to innovate as well and find new ideas? The answer will be, finish your job first, right? So we need to give that platform. We are trying that in Tiki, that we are running hackathons internally for engineers to come up with like mini apps and like come up with what they would do as innovation, but we are not doing enough yet. I think a lot needs to be done. And the surprising thing is people are so motivated to even come over weekends, do all-nighters to build those things which have nothing to do with their work, but we need to give them a platform. When we give them a platform, ownership would follow.
It's such a sort of wonderful idea that we almost maybe are very tempted not to think about it. But, you know, if you want people to innovate, they need to have the time for it, right? I think there's always this kind of like famous story of Google letting, you know, people dedicate 20% of their time to any project they want, because then they do the stuff they're passionate about. You know, it links more to their kind of like intrinsic motivation. And from that, innovations like Gmail was born out of a 20% project. But then when you speak to people who work at Google, many of them say, yeah, but I'm already working 60 hours per week.
Exactly.
So what is Google really giving me? This 20%, does it mean that I have to work 72 hours per week now? And then I can spend, so yes. The company also then have to enable that sort of really saying, hey, you have a day or you have half a day, you have the time to do it.
Yes. And the second thing is, like, you know, another example is you may have come across employees who would say, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I don't want to get promoted. I don't want high salary hikes because I want to go spend time with my family after I finish 8 hours of my job. I will just do my job. What we should respect this as an organization, because not everybody wants to innovate. So we need to make sure that we pick up the right people and try to get that creativity out of them. So that's our job.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I think we're going to go back to Anne, who will give us the 6 magical tips.
Yeah.
The 6 magical tips of innovation and ownership.
But before I'm answering the question, I just want to share one thing, that in terms of like a bit of the culture or the value here. So we normally focus too much on like the values, like being innovative. But the thing here is that the value without the behavior is like the tree without leaves. So like being innovative, I think that like we talk a lot about being innovative and how we can build up this culture. But for me, is that we spend time a lot to identify the behavior. And maybe that like a Sakshi, I'm totally aligned with you, because for the junior team member, maybe the behavior to demonstrate that being innovative, it's just do the right thing and follow the guideline, follow the process. You don't need to innovate. You don't need to be like innovative at all. But maybe as a supervisor or like a manager or director level, the behavior may differ. So for me again, so I work a lot. I have worked a lot with the company, and all the company has a core values: being innovative, being integrity. But the thing here is that like they don't live in their action, in their communication, in the way that they make decisions. So again,
and Minh, I think like as a culture partner, right, and as a culture consultant also to all your portfolio companies, and I think as all of us on this call probably have experienced, that is one thing to say what is your core value, it's another one to live them. And like you said, values are nothing without the behaviors, right? If we don't create an environment in which those behaviors can take place, then it's just words, right? And words can be powerful, but they can also be incredibly not powerful if we don't do that. Okay, we only have 3 minutes left, and there's a lot of questions that are coming in. So Anne, maybe quickly your 6 rules for innovation and ownership. And then I just want to go back to one other theme. I think, Sakshi, your comment about failing fast and comfort and failing has really brought up a lot in people. So there's a lot of questions coming in about that. But okay, first to you about your 6 points.
I agree with Sakshi again that not every employee needs to be innovative. It depends on the level of job and also the creator of work, the nature of work. They need to be like innovative. However, I do think that most of employees should be raised of the ownership. because the ownership may be from Giang mentioned that's come from the junior level. They need to ensure that they take the owner of their process, and they need to ensure that the process goes smoothly and don't be wronged in your certain level. However, in another certain level, at the higher or senior, the ownership, the innovative should be encouraged. But how can we do it? I do think at the same idea with the question from Trump and the for human resource resistance, she said that the ownership is important. So for AIA, we have the pack of A2A. That is the buy side knowledge for them to ability to execution. And one of skill innovative, we share with them a video that the ultimate of life. That's in the video film to talk
And
about.
you said you had six tips.
16. We have
16.
No. We have six verb to ensure that you enhance your ownership. So the
Okay.
6 words is come from a film. So
Okay.
it's real practical. The guy from the poorest people in the society, he becomes a richest man in the world. So with 6 verb, he already applied that. The first thing, he invests wisely. Invest wisely, it doesn't mean that you invest your money, but invest your education, invest your experience. And the second word is act now. When you invest, you need to act. And then after you act, you need to hold responsibility and accountability with you and others. The fourth thing is you need to challenge others and challenge yourself with respect and stay solution focused and go extra mile. That's 6 words, six verb words to help you, to enhance your ownership. But it make them more practical. That they look at into the video, a film from the poorest, and how can they commitment with yourself. And to be honest, when I apply this secret for all employees, and now I get a lot of feedback from employees that they start from the very small thing. And even at the small thing, we encourage them to do the best in your life. Just before you apply to work, you do for you first. And if you do your ownership for yourself, you can take the owner for the work you already done. So that's what we encourage them to do to enhance the ownership.
Beautiful. And so you're taking that from a film, and I think we all know that storytelling can be so powerful and probably really resonate much better and stay with you longer. So the six tips, the 6 words coming from the film, very helpful in that. So the very final note, I think we kind of want to land on, going back to, both the kind of creating the atmosphere, building the culture of innovation. It's about action, not just words. It's about behaviors, not just values. There's still more questions coming in about this idea of maybe a gap between people at the top that say, okay, we need to be innovative and everyone should fail fast and just speak out. And then maybe people a little bit more junior who are quite hesitant. So Sarah is saying, I always had this idea of doing a CEO lunch with new members to set the tone from the beginning, but I feel like maybe the younger members, they will be quite uncomfortable talking to the CEO, so maybe that's quite difficult. And then another anonymous question that was submitted: Vietnamese companies accepting less experienced youngsters' ideas, or do they still believe you have to be more experienced with the same designation? So maybe the final one that I think a lot of people deal with: how do we get the youngest people, the most junior people, feeling comfortable to fail and innovate and be kind of in that culture? I'll leave it open for anyone to jump in and answer that question. Whoever unmutes first can go.
I do think the tolerance of the risk and failure in the company is very important. I mean the tolerance.
So how do you do it?
Yes, AIA Vietnam already done with that message that Cris says at the beginning. Oh, not many company. I encourage you to make failure. And I share with you the practical of AIA Vietnam. They have done that. We make a tribe. We make the AIA model on tribe. And in tribe, we encourage them to give us the idea. And in the first 6 months, they fail. And we announce to people that we need to encourage the courage from them, that we accept that we failed. in open communication, we share with them that we already failed with that. But after we fail, what did we improve and what we do different from last time? They already share and they make the thing happen. And after 6 months after that, we achieve 50% enhance of the customer experience on claims. So we need to, when they get failed, we need to courage to accept that we fail, and we share with them that we fail. But if we hide that, oh, we fail, so don't announce to everybody that we fail, that it make them more scared. But if we help them to accept that we already failed, but what we will do further with other, so it increasing that the tolerance of failure.
Wow, I think that is a powerful idea, that you're saying that maybe in order to feel people more comfortable, or make people feel more comfortable about failure, we're going to celebrate failure, and we're also going to show what was the outcome, what was the result of that failure. Maybe there are some positive case studies. Okay, Minh, Zhang, I see you're getting ready to jump in.
Just so I can share, I think that at Mekong Capital, we love to play with language. Since at Mekong Capital, we don't call failure. Since that every time, when we listen, when we hear a failure, to be honest, as a human being, we feel so scared. We try to avoid, we try to cover. So at Mekong Capital, it starts from the awareness application, and at Mekong Capital, we have the program we call Opportunity to Breakthrough. And it starts from we don't call failure, we call this is the opportunity for the breakthrough. Yeah, celebrating. So and we have a very intensive program to start from the awareness about the why, and the intention that we want to consider that this is a normal thing happen, especially when you're committed to do something big. That is so normal. This is a normal thing happen, to accept it or to welcome this. Yeah. And we are also in the coaching program, so we coach them from the mindset that, okay, we have a two team to choose. When something happen, you can choose to consider to perceive it as a problem, or to consider to perceive it as a breakdown or opportunity to break through. And
changing the language.
Yeah, changing the language, and coach them, okay, when you and share with them that we are the human being. It's very normal. When something happen, we always belong to the problem team. We try to blame ourselves. There is something wrong here. There is something wrong about him. There is something wrong about them. But guys, the more time you spend in the problem team, you lose the time and effort and energy, and don't produce the result. So switch to the opportunity to breakthrough team. And in this team, we just focus on two things. One, deal with the facts. Second thing, being proactive and creative in finding or giving the new ways of the new solution. That's it. And we call, and so at Mekong Capital, in our conversation, you may see I want to declare the breakdown. Oh, I want to declare the opportunity to breakthrough. We make it very normal thing. And
so
it's
you totally
really
made it
hard.
part of the vocabulary of the company, and now you have words that you can use that, oh, you're being in this team, you should join this team, you should go over to this side, in a different way.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
But
I
I
gotta
also
say
love
a huge, I know, but we're way over already. I know we could talk forever about innovation, but then we don't give people the time to go out and innovate, or maybe in this case, to go have dinner. So I wanted to say a huge thank you to An for joining us, to Sakshi for joining us, to Minh, Zhang for joining us, to Cris for joining us today. Really, really great discussion. We'll share the recording tomorrow. We'll also share a written outline. And so we'll get some of the other questions answered as well that have been submitted that we didn't get to. There were a couple of highlights that really stood out for me. I just wanted to recap, starting with the fact that innovation is a mindset, that it doesn't have to come right away, that you can fail fast, and that failing is good, or maybe in Minh Zhang's word, we wouldn't even talk about failure. We'd say it's an opportunity to break through. I love the idea that we have to think about before we get into any kind of innovation kind of opportunity. What is the objective, or again, in Minh Zhang's term, in Mekong Capital terms, what is the committed breakthrough result, that why we're doing this? But then there were also a lot of really good inputs around how do we make sure that people embrace innovation? How do we make sure that people have sustained innovation? And then Sakshi's point that innovation doesn't have to be for everyone. Ownership needs to be for everyone. As Anne said, ownership needs to be for everyone, but innovation doesn't have to be for everyone, because if everyone is innovating, then who will do the work? Which I thought was a beautiful little thing to leave us on. So again, thank you all for joining us. We have one more session in this series of webinars, which will be about technology. That will be next week, same time, that we're looking forward to welcoming you. The sign up link for that will be in the recap email of this webinar that you're getting tomorrow. So thanks everyone again for joining, and hope to see you again very soon. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Go out and innovate.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye, innovator.
Bye-bye.
Bye, innovators.
Bye.